I'm not a dictator.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Welcome to ABC4 News at 5 o'clock. I'm Sarah Murphy.
And I'm Brian McElhat, and we begin with a whirlwind of weather today, that's for sure. High water levels in Zion National Park.
As I was assembling this video and loading the recording, I put the picture that I forgot to tell you about my stormtrooper dream back in '86. So we'll do it. We'll put it here at the beginning, right after that picture. In the summer of '86, I had the first dream that I've told you about, in which I was in a school classroom. The bell rang as it was 2:13ish, somewhere around there. I grabbed my backpack, went out the door, got onto a yellow school bus, and we drove a very long distance on a singular narrow road with what would turn out to be canola fields of Alberta, Canada. It's a prophecy dream. Both of them are. And we got to a building, isolated at the end of the road, surrounded by the canola fields. Because I didn't know what kind of grain it was in the dream. Canola is different than wheat, and I didn't recognize the grain in the dream. I saw it in advance. And so when I came home from work one day, driving back down the singular road with the canola fields on both sides, I went, oh, yeah, my dream. Oh, my dream. I was assigned my room. I went, opened it up, put my suitcase in the room, looked down the hall to my left, and at the end of the hall, at the turn, a female had just put away her suitcases in the room and saw me and then came over and said, hey, come with me. We went through the back door, took one of the electric vehicles, and drove away. We went through a tunnel lit underneath, and then at the end of the tunnel there was daylight, and I pulled into the parking lot of another building, and we went up in the stairs, opened up the door. There was a long hall. At the end of the hall there was a door at the end, so that's where we headed. Along the side there were doors with classrooms. Teachers were teaching in the classrooms. I went into one of them on the right, walked right into the class as the teacher was speaking in front of the class, walked right in front of him. He was not happy. I walked right back out, continued down the hall, opened up the door, we went in. It was a chapel with seating arrangements as a chapel, but structured like a BYU classroom, where it's sloped up, where the podium is down at the bottom, where most rammy-umptums of the church are elevated above the regular seating. This was down at the bottom. And so my parents were off to the left in a row in wheelchairs. Got leprosy shedding. Despite the rain we were having. And the woman went down the aisle to the pulpit at the bottom and sat in the speaker place as if she were going to be giving a speech. I, however, went down the other aisle and sat in the middle of the center benches. There was originally a guy on the upper right, but he disappeared as guards came in from the back doors that we came in and pulled out my parents from their wheelchairs, dragging them out of the door. I then saw that as my cue to leave, got up, went down the aisle, saw that there was a stairway down to a door there in front of the pulpit. So I went down, tried to open it. It was locked. Didn't have any authority to get in with no keys. Came back up, went across the podium, and motioned and said, "Come with me." And she got up and came with me, and we were going to go out the lower door to get outside. It was a glass door with a curtain over it, as is typical in churches. And as we were exiting, the back door again opened, and it was a witch first, wearing the black robe and the hat, pointed hat, and then transformed into a man in a suit. And he then yells out, "Who dares invade my temple?" The woman with me went into shock, and I helped grab her and push her out of the door to the outside. And looking up the building, there was the hill, and at the top of the hill now there was a door at the top, and out came a few guards. And when I wrote it all out, which has been thrown away by my dad, I would also draw their uniforms, them in their uniforms. There were some pictures associated with the dream, and I could have had it published if my dad hadn't thrown it away. Nonetheless, and so they were saying, "Stop right there." And so then I took the woman, we ran around the front of the church, the chapel. And at that point, I'm arguing with the dream narrator, or the dungeon master, as it's called in D&D board game, role-playing game. I'm saying, "No, she's coming with me." "No, she's not." "Yes, she is." "No, she's not." And so what the actual dream was that she decides to split, go around the other side of the building. Whereas I'm trying to tell her, "No, they're going to catch us. We need to go across the street, jump over the bushes, and wait for them to pass on by." And so that's how I forced the dream to end. You can't force dream interpretation. You can't do it. You will lose every time. So, yeah, the dream ended as the whole place was deserted. There was nobody else around. And so I cross the street and jump over the bushes, and it starts to rain. There's a love rocking seat, all white, as I'm right there by a white building. And I wake up and I write it all down. Probably the next month, or I'm not sure how many days after, it was that summer of '86. I had just become a priest of the Aaronic priesthood, having the ministration of angels, and thus having the dreams with the angels in them, messengers. And Metallica had come out with Master of Puppets back in March, and Benson would become the president of the church with his solemn assembly and telling us in priesthood that Metallica is evil and of the devil. And so is porn. And so is R-rated movies. Not X-rated, those are okay. Just R-rated. And pregnancy is a pernicious evil. And music is bad. And blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Quoting from Kimball's Miracle of Forgiveness, which is why I was forced to have the Miracle of Forgiveness on my mission. Read it before I went on my mission. Which Kimball quotes from Ballard's conference talk, who says all that crap. So Benson made it official. But no Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom yet. So the other dream, because you're not going to want to watch the actual video after these dreams. So, I'm hiking up the mountains, vegetation. And I get to the top of the mountain. And at the top of the mountain, there's a house. And I can see men coming in and out of the house. I learn that they're searching for gold. They're not finding any. They are completely ransacking the house, which is pretty much bare of any furnishings as well. Everybody is searching for gold and nobody is finding it. At the top of the mountain, in the house. And so I go in, looking around, watching everybody going all around, back and forth in the house that's empty. As looking back out the door into the forest, stormtroopers, which in 2008, when I was detained to be tortured unto death, I was interrogated, so I was inspired to tell him this dream. He then asked, Nazi stormtroopers or Star Wars? Doesn't matter, they're both the same. George Lucas is a Jew. If this is a dream, it doesn't matter which. It's both the same meaning. Don't think it's a cigar. Sometimes a stormtrooper is just a stormtrooper. Nonetheless, yeah, stormtroopers from Star Wars came marching up and began rounding up all the men to lock them up in the concentration camps. Doesn't matter which stormtroopers, it means the same. So yes, I am being detained and about to be tortured unto death, paid for and ordered by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So yes, I knew what I was doing. I was being a smart aleck. And so I go out the front door to the backyard. It's a dream. It's a time for supernatural stuff. And would be denied from Scripture because it doesn't conform to the first creed of Christianity. And walked all the way to the end of a steep drop-off that was miles down. And at the very bottom I could see that there was a lake down there. And in my dream, I'm thinking to myself, I could make that. I can make that. And so again, I'm arguing with the dungeon master of the dream. Who's telling me you're going to die if you jump. You're not going to make it. So the actual part of the dream was that I found a fallen tree trunk and tried hiding behind that, but they saw me and they came and got me and took me away along with the other men. My revision, I jump. And then a helicopter appears, and then I go, oh, wait a minute. Helicopters have blades. So I added a net at the front of the helicopter beyond the reach of the blades that I fall into. Ta-da! Here we are. It's coming, Mormons. I warned you, you didn't listen. Now the consequences follow. You sang the primary hymn. Do what is right, let the consequences follow. Battle for freedom. In spirit and truth. And with stout hearts looking forth to tomorrow. God won't protect you if you do what is wrong. Thank you. And now the rest of the story. Travis Wayne Goodsell. Isaiah chapter 58, verse 10. Verse 8, then shall thy light break forth as the morning sun. So verse 10, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry like bread, and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the sun at noonday. Amen. El, or the accent that you know it, Emmanuel, from Isaiah chapter 7. Up in Canada with the first X, I took a Latin course that first summer term, and the teacher taught us the phrase, in darkness there is light. Ex tenebris est lux. I saw that Google Translate switched est and lux. It's okay, you can do that. Because depending on the author of the speech, they can put the subject, object, verb in any position they want. Thus a different linguistic focal print, not fingerprint. Get me out. Get me out. So in 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5, talking about Joseph Smith as the Jewish Messiah ben Joseph of Egypt. It says, Joseph Smith is to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord, that the Messiah, Emmanuel, the sun god at noonday, should be made manifest in the flesh unto Mormons, because that's Joseph Smith's church, in the latter days, in the spirit of power, the gifts of seer, prophet, revelator, translator, with the keys of Moses, the Jewish Christ. Deuteronomy 18, verse 15 through 19. Whom Joseph Smith says in the Joseph Smith 1838 History, Second Vision, verse 40, is our Christ. Section 103, verse 16. Yep, a Mormon, our Christ. Powers, not titles. He is the authorized head of the church, not anybody else with titles and other alternative keys, so that Mormons won't be deceived by them. Unto the bringing of Mormons out of darkness unto light of the noonday sun. Yea, out of hidden darkness and out of captivity unto freedom in millennial Zion. It's the whole point of his coming. And yeah, Mormons. And so yes, in section 103, verse 15 through 18, Joseph Smith again reiterates this, making it very clear to Mormons. Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Keys of Moses, seer, prophet, revelator, translator, so that Mormons won't be deceived by false prophets and a false Christ. Therefore, I will raise up unto my people. That plagiarizes Deuteronomy 18:18. Ooh, that Joseph always plagiarizing. A man who shall lead them like as Moses led the children of Israel. For you are the children of Israel, and of the house of Israel, or seed of Abraham. Don't have it memorized. And you must needs be led out of bondage, out of darkness and obscurity, out of hidden darkness of the mind, by power. Keys of Moses, seer, prophet, revelator, translator, and with a stretched out arm. And as your fathers were led at the first, from the Exodus story, which is the prophecy, so shall the redemption of Zion be. The prophecy will be fulfilled. So, I guess he's dead. He didn't show. I showed exactly as prophesied by all Jews. And I just dropped the bomb yet again. And all Mormons want me dead. They want to remain in darkness of Christianity. Joseph Smith makes that very clear. The Book of Mormon makes that very clear. The Jewish tradition makes that very clear. The first creed of Christianity. I was answered that I must not join any Christian church, all Christian churches. So he has to make his own? The sun god, father and son Amun, appeared to Joseph Smith, and you've replaced them with Jesus and Heavenly Father of Christianity, huh? As Joseph Smith goes on to say that Christianity is all wrong, abominable, great and abominable church, and all corrupt. That first creed of Christianity, 1700 years and 27 days ago. And Pope Leo forgot. Just like Nelson forgot about the bicentennial of the second vision coming forth of the Book of Mormon, warning Mormons of utter destruction. You're all gonna die if you don't listen to me. The Christ, the one who has the keys of Moses, is a seer, prophet, revelator, and translator. So we're doing this out of the order I originally intended to do it in order of. I'm going to talk about Nazis first. Well, I guess we still can. It's not too late. It's not too late. So yes, the creation of Christianity, 1700 years and 27 days ago, that Pope Leo forgot. He has to forget because the first creed orders them to forget. The first creed is an anachronism. Ex-foes know all about anachronisms in the Book of Mormon. Because it's turned literal history. Exactly. Christianity turning the Bible that they would eventually create from approved Jewish scriptures were turned into literal history. And as a result, you've got a whole bunch of supernatural events that were not as supernatural as the scriptures that were too supernatural and thus were rejected. You know, like Hercules and Perseus coming from outer space on a flying white horse. Only Jesus can do that. That never occurred to you? Despite all these years talking about how Pegasus, the constellation, is the fulfillment, and thus the stories about the flying white horse gives you the revelation day and hour, calendar date and clock time of the events being prophesied about. Prophecy and revelation. Hello? Christianity destroys it, as Joseph would explain with the Methodist preacher. And so with the creation of Christianity, we now call that day, those that period of time until the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. Christianity is the great and abominable church that sent the world into darkness. So Joseph Smith, in Liberty Jail, by his missionaries of false brethren, verse 1 of the Joseph Smith history, and Benson even told you that we are under condemnation since 1832, when Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball's Danites went around lying about the church, calling it the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, saying the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ. Joseph's religion is now Christian. And now the church is under condemnation. They sowed tares. So you go from Benson's section 84 to the tares of the missionaries in section 86. All right there in 1832. Brigham Young joined to destroy. And so, Christianity. Joseph Smith just goes on for several verses about the evils of Christianity, saying it is an imperative duty that we owe to God, to angels with whom we shall be brought to stand, and also to ourselves, to our wives and children, who have been made to bow down with grief, sorrow, and care under the most damning hand of murder, tyranny, and oppression, supported and urged on and upheld by the influence of that spirit which hath so strongly riveted Christianity of the fathers. Creeds, Christianity. Who have inherited lies. Thus the Book of Mormon corrects the lies put in by Christianity. And you thought it was just plagiarism. Upon the hearts of the children, and filled the world with confusion, and has been growing stronger and stronger, and is now the very mainspring of all corruption. Christianity. Right here, as Joseph Smith was falsely accused and locked up in Liberty Jail. And the whole earth groans under the weight of its iniquity. It is an iron yoke to Jesus. It is a strong band, fascism. They are the very handcuffs and chains and shackles and fetters of hell. Therefore, it is an imperative duty that we owe not only to our wives and our children, but to the widows and fatherless, whose husbands and fathers have been murdered under its iron hand. Don't you mean iron legs? And iron feet mingled with Christian clay of Roman Emperor Constantine. The Nebuchadnezzar dream by the author, Jewish author of Daniel, in which Daniel interprets the dream as a seer, the judge of God, or the God judge, because it's a tale of the God, Daniel. But yeah, with Christianity creating one Christ, the Jews caved and changed their doctrine with the biblical Hebrew text. And so it's now my judge is God. Daniel is the God. Just like Perseus and Hercules. Hello? Elijah, the god Yah. Very obvious. But the Jews caved to the pressures of Christianity and turned Elohim singular. God. Which dark and blackening deeds are enough to make hell itself shudder, to stand aghast and pale, and the hand of the very devil to tremble and palsy. Babylon was the first to come in and conquer Jerusalem, and took them hostage to Babylon. Of Babylon, light. Of the capital of Baal. And assimilated them into Babylonian culture. And under Persia, they were sent back. So the Qumran community Jews, who are writing all of these scriptures, are trying to warn the Jews not to further assimilate by talking about the past. Having Daniel say, don't assimilate into Babylonian culture, which, oops, they did. But the Roman period Qumran community are trying to convince them not to assimilate into the Roman period by talking about the past, of which they assimilated. Babylon, therefore, is the gold head that started their oppression and their captivity. And so then it goes over the various kingdoms down to the Roman period of time when the Jews wrote it. Wait, they wrote it during the Roman period of time. So Christianity had not been invented yet. Creatio ex nihilo, another Latin term for you. And thus the change in Genesis that Joseph Smith condemns from the Septuagint. Again, the Jews, in making the biblical Hebrew text, caved to the Christians and altered their doctrines. And so, yes, Christianity is the iron feet of Rome mingled with Christian clay. And what happens to the feet? They shatter into, I was thinking it was just, 1,000 Christian branch-offs, and it wasn't too long ago that I found out that I was way under. The shattering was far worse than just 1,000 pieces. Far worse than Aleph from Semitic Babylonian. It's 1,000. And so, yes, Christianity became the enemy of the Jews. They usurped the religion, selected scriptures from the Jews for their new religion, couldn't create their own other than the Book of Nicodemus or the Acts of Pontius Pilate. That's a Christian document. Trying to follow the pattern of the Jewish authors who wrote what's in the New Testament of the Christians. And if you're confused and saying, what? And you're a Mormon? What the hell? 2 Nephi 29. And because my words shall henceforth many of the Christians shall say, a Bible, we have got a Bible, and there cannot be any more Bible. What thank you the Jews for the Bible that you received? You have cursed them, hated them, chased them all over Europe, lied to them, and didn't bother to recover them to restore the damage you did. And so, the Nebuchadnezzar dream, I will return all these things upon your heads. And so the rock, stone of Peter, Seir, at the top of the mountain of Utah shall come forth the Jewish Christ. Saving Mormons from the great and abominable church of the Great Spirit, Jesus. Book of Mormon repeatedly condemns Christianity. The Great Spirit of the Lamanites, Jesus. Zoramites, Great Spirit, Ramyumptum. Great Spirit. We thank thee that we are better than our brethren who are Jewish. We have turned the synagogue of the Jews to you, Jesus, the Great Spirit. Exactly what Constantine did. It's trying to teach you. You're not listening. You turned it literal history and created a new Christianity that's even more abominable, with the sexual abuse of Heavenly Father to justify your sexual abuse. Of which they themselves say was the sexual abuse deviance of the Nicolaitan band in Revelation chapter 2. Section 117, which apparently they never read the extermination order of Governor Boggs because of the whistleblower, president of the 12, Thomas B. Marsh, saying that these Danites were the ones that got Joseph Smith framed and blamed, as he didn't even know that there was a church in Adam-on-Diamond as the president of the 12. And so yes, Benjamin Franklin Johnson, I remember being told about him in seminary. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin Johnson was kidnapped and arrested by hooligans. And there was a guy who wanted to shoot him. Deny Joseph Smith and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or I'm going to shoot you. Deny the Book of Mormon. I'm going to shoot you. I will not deny the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ. Oh, it misfired. It never misfires. It misfired. Yeah. Well, if you knew the rest of the story, he was ordered to come to Adam-on-Diamond, where there is no church. Only Danites. It's the secret headquarters. And they were mimicking Joseph's church, because they had a bishop's storehouse. But this is the creation of section 119. It was not for the poor and the needy. It's for Jesus. Right, Oaks? 2 storehouses. There's Malachi's, which is for Jesus. And then there's the other for the poor. That, both are donations. But you have to pay the one to Jesus. Both are donations. But you have to pay the one to Jesus. But both are donations. God. Kay Birmingham, you bleep and bleep bleep. God. You did watch that video last night that I ended up staying up past 11 for? So, yes, obviously for anybody who just reads that the Book of Mormon condemns Christianity, condemns it replacing the Jews. Joseph Smith obviously condemns Christianity for replacing the Jews. And yet, I weep as Mormons, time after time after time, confess that they worship Jesus, that Joseph Smith was Christian, that he saw Jesus, that the Book of Mormon is Christian, that the Nephites of literal history saw Jesus. It says so in the text. Yeah, it says so in the Jewish scriptures too. You've got the Book of Jesus, who goes in, parting the waters of the Jordan River with the Ark of the Covenant into the Promised Land, and then starts slaughtering people. Warrior King Jesus. And you're going, what? What? Joshua? Jesus is Greek for Joshua in Hebrew. Oh, you thought it was Yahweh? Because Brigham Young and his temple? Dear God. Might as well just be a Jehovah's Witness. Jehovah God. You must pronounce it Jehovah. All up in Canada that summer, while I was taking Latin, Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on our door. And they said, pronounce Jehovah. Oh, so did you hear about the Dead Sea Scrolls that have been found? Oh yeah, we have a person who's all into that and studying that. Really? Yeah, we'll send them over. Never showed. They never came back. I didn't have to be mean. I didn't have to bear false witness testimony of how Jesus is true. I went to the primary source documents. Primary source documents. You know, like Joseph Smith's words for Mormons. Section 3, verse 16. Joseph Smith lost 116 pages and is now put on timeout for a whole year. A whole year. Bruce, how dare you change the date? Nevertheless, my work shall go forth. For inasmuch as the knowledge of a Savior has come unto the world through the testimony of the Jews. Who is he? The man like Moses. whom Joseph Smith says is me. Even so shall the knowledge of a Savior come unto my people. Through the Book of Mormon. I just read it to you. 2 Nephi, chapter 3, verse 5. Mormons don't believe. So, because of Christianity, you have the Dark Ages, and eventually you'd see the fruits of mass murders, thefts, corruptions, rapes, diseases, plagues, Spanish Inquisition, witch's hammer. Women would be vilified and demonized as porn, but not called porn until evangelicals after 1900. They called them witches instead. Burned them. Tortured them. All because they were raped. So what are we doing in America? We're raping women, forbidding them from having contraception, birth control, any kind of contraception, forcing them to have the baby, making it illegal to get an abortion, and then punishing single mothers after they are forced to have the baby, so that they justify kidnapping the baby from the mother and human trafficking the baby into a good white Christian couple, one man, one woman, and a pool boy. And be put on Jeffrey Epstein's little black book as Mormon. John and Mary Kay, whatever the wife's name is, Huntsman Jr. I've got the little black book. Ghislaine Maxwell lied. She's in it. There's no black book. Nope. Nope. Not at all. Doesn't exist. We have it. What do you mean there is no book? We've got it. You're telling us there is no book? Here it is, right here. There's your name. She lied. She wants a pardon for lying. They wouldn't let Bill Clinton get away with a blowjob lie. But all MAGA, they all get away with their crimes. And so all of this abuse, chasing the Jews throughout Europe, blaming the Jews for every plague, everything, calling them witches, just like women. You're not Christian, therefore you're a witch. Denied owning land. And forced to become bankers and then be vilified for being bankers. Those in Germany in 1938, Hitler takes over and is hinge-pointing Nazi Germany for the final solution. the white master race was the 62.7% Protestants. Christianity. And so, yes, the rise of televangelism had evangelicals become the new Nazis to thank their American liberators, given asylum in America from Nazi Germany. They're just changing the religions as we go. Changing the religions. 32.5% were Catholics, but as the Pope, he had to eventually cave so that he can save Catholics, change the doctrines, ashamed of the gospel of Catholicism in order to save the German Catholics. Yep, we're getting to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Moroni and the swastika. There was a total population of around 79 million, which 10% is 7.9 million. And so the percentage of Jews that were in Nazi Germany were 0.8%, which means that other Jews from surrounding conquered countries like Austria, oh crap, are we going to do Edelweiss in the theme song? God, I didn't see that coming. My mother told me as I was being forced to miss Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom to go on my mission, justified it by saying that she had to miss The Sound of Music. It's not quite the same, Mom. Not quite the same. They put the movies in the theaters. And they ran them for at least a year so that people could have time to watch it. In my day, videotapes were created. We had a video store that we could go to buy the movies on, or rent the movies. They weren't able to be bought yet. Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom I had to watch when I got back. Molaram Sugaram Kalima Shaktide. I'm right here. I'll let you know in the morning. Nocturnal activities. No time for love, Dr. Jones. You'd use that one in the theme song. Nowleen I don't think I can quote that line. Because I think there's both. I think I saw YouTube with both versions, the English and the Chinese. Anyway, it was a misunderstanding. And so, yes, there were 6 million dead Jews when all was said and done. And so they had to have obtained the 6 million from the other surrounding countries, putting them into the concentration camps when they captured them. Four percent were other religions or never knows Nazis, and thus the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So when I got that document today, I noticed I probably should quote it so that you don't accuse me of making stuff up. Religion in Nazi Germany. I really like that arcade game, because when we would drive to Utah and Idaho, as they would drop me off at Phil and Kathy Sheneke that lived in Pleasant Grove at the time. Kathy was my mom's best friend and neighbor there in Ventura, California, growing up. And then Phil and Kathy would then take me to the MTC, dump me off. And so we stopped in Las Vegas, and we didn't stay at the Treasury that time, or Circus, but we went to Circus, and that's where I saw in the arcade section the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom arcade game. So that was my one and only time getting to play it in advance of not having seen the movie yet. The first time PG-13 got created because of that. I mean, it was just ripping out his heart from his chest. It wasn't for the child slavery that was going on. Come on. There we go, specific groups. The flag of the German Christians. Oh my God. Yeah, after World War II, after losing, then they felt guilt and shame and forbid the name Hitler and Adolf. Then Where are they? Had to have been near the top. Yeah. Some religious minority groups had a more complicated relationship with the new state, such as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS, which withdrew its missionaries from Germany and Czechoslovakia in 1938. Yeah, is Nelson doing that now? No. Did he do it in 2020's test run? Yeah, and then was pissed with Governor Herbert. Open it back up! And they sacrificed, framed and blamed, but with cyber terrorism, the airport director, to replace him and put a new one in to open up the airport to kill people. But pay attention. German LDS church branches were permitted to continue to operate throughout the war, because the church made a deal with Hitler. But were forced to make some changes. Remember the other religions that changed their doctrine, being ashamed? In their structure and teachings. What teachings? For I'm ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm ashamed to be a Mormon. Jesus is upset. He doesn't like nicknames anymore. Mormons are in bondage. Moroni and the swastika. See, I was originally thinking, yeah, Star Wars Emperor March. And I could avoid all these tears of Edelweiss. I mean, I could also put in comedic relief, put in the SNL skit that I did the other day. I am 16, going on 17. I am 44. No longer living with my mother. Living with a bunch of guys named Hans. So yeah. So 10th of August. Now we can get to it. Now I probably should do my ABC News comment. Mother of the Gaza hostage on fighting against Israeli government. She was upset with her government for not making a ceasefire and a hostage exchange with Hamas, who are holding her son hostage as Israel's government obtained a video recorded by Hamas that showed her son being tortured and is still alive. The Israeli government obtained that video recording. And so now she's blaming the Israeli government for not getting her son back. I understand that when you're traumatized, you don't think clearly. And it is common to blame others than the ones responsible, that are obviously responsible. But in this particular case, she is siding with the enemy by blaming her government. And shame on ABC News for exploiting this to again condemn Israel. See, the news has learned of their power to manipulate their audiences to the point of getting the audiences to be incited to force the government to make changes. Oh, recent poll of 10 people, but we're not going to tell you the number, we're just going to tell you the percentage. Says that the president sucks. The worst ratings ever. Yeah, the news, by using a false dichotomy, polling data of small sampling, red herring, and probably a bunch of other fallacies if I were to look up the list, is trying to overthrow the government by inciting their audience against the government, or for the government in the case of Fox News. Right now, under Trump. Under Biden, it was switched. Fox News was saying, polls say Biden sucks. The liberal press was saying, oh, these polls don't really factor in that. So yeah, the news is abusing their First Amendment rights by not reporting the facts of what happened. They have reporters who are Islamists who go to Gaza to die because they're protecting Hamas, showing live footage of their death for Allah. So, my comment. This has been going on since October 7th, 2023. As all the world witnesses the repeated pattern of practice of Hamas refusing to release the hostages, violating ceasefire agreements, and torturing their own people as Gazans die for Allah, and abandon their children who then starve to death, as the IPC, that was in the news yesterday, falsely accuses Israel of blood libel. That it's some kind of Jewish ritual to murder the children and drink their blood. And yet, that's exactly what Islam is doing. False accusers being guilty of it themselves. Beam and Moat. Matthew chapter 7. Also in the Book of Mormon. Plagiarized. Aid groups only helping Gazans. World leaders condemning Israel. And the world press inciting the world to blame Israel. This Islamic jihad even has Islamic journalists, doctors, aid organizations filming their suicide videos to blame Israel while giving aid and comfort to Hamas. terrorism. The latest ceasefire agreement was created by Islamic Arab leaders and left out releasing the hostages. Doesn't this mother know this? I cannot understand the logic of families of Israel. I'm skipping lines. Of remaining hostages, naive about this established religious terrorist tactic. This is why Israel must take back all the land, because Gazans refuse to be good neighbors, wanting only the extermination of Israel. And then there's Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, West Bank, Yemen, ... Australia last week condemned Israel with the rest of the world. And now today, after the attacks on Australian Jews, we're forced to shut down the Tehran embassy. The Jews were first on the land pre-1500 BCE and are the source for the Christians' Bible, claiming that Constantine created Jesus to be the Jewish Christ. And thus, the inspiration for the Quran and Muhammad claiming to be the Jewish Christ. Messiah. When will the world wake up to the reality that the existence of Jews is in great jeopardy? So I'm likely to find that I've been banned on YouTube for supporting the Jews. No religious freedom for you. This is Nazi America. So, the dream. Judges, chapter 19, was what I found from my dream on 10th of August, 2025. 4 loaves, Egyptian hieroglyphic bread. Do I need to go back to Isaiah 58 again this morning? I just figured this morning. Did it again. Isaiah chapter 3 verse 1, and now today Isaiah 58. Oops, I did it again. And so, I was thinking originally that it might have to do with the moons. Still might. Because I'm seeing multiple fulfillments here. So far there's now 3. So 9 days later, 19th of August, wake up to the flood dream. Now it wasn't Noah and his ark. I was in a car. But there was a flood coming, and I had to drive up to the top of the mountain to avoid getting flooded. Same pattern. Flood dream. Noah's Ark. Latter days. In the days of Noah, so shall the latter days be. Matthew 24. Eating, drinking, and getting sealed in the temple. And then all dying with utter destruction because they would not listen to their Christ. Scriptures all talk about the same subject matter because it was all written by Jews. It's their religion, their beliefs, their Christ. You can't misinterpret it and now claim it's true. And so, for the next 5 days, the 20th was the symbol of the Egyptian conical bread in the pyramid shape. for the storehouse of the temple. Bring all the bread into the storehouse, that there may be room enough to receive it, not be room enough to receive it. That would be nice. That we get the storehouse built in Zion, in the fantasy world where Mormons repent and go to Zion. And are not utterly destroyed on the other timeline that we're headed on. Need the female Loki to fix it. But yeah, all the Mormons come to Zion, and all giving to the storehouse, as the economy of Zion is without a monetary system of economy. And the storehouse is too small. Too small. So 21st, after the flood dream, then I have the bread of life. And then now on the 21st of August, here comes the flood, Mormons. Sign in the heavens of the Nile River. Here comes the flood. And then the 22nd, Amos 3:8. The lion has roared, who can but prophesy? And then the church would post on the church news later that day, after I did my church news video, that the military occupied Welfare Square and the bread. The other donated tithing, called fast offerings. From the storehouse. They really think you're stupid, Mormons. And apparently they're right. I mean, Bishop Storehouse, you read Storehouse. You read from Joseph, Bishop Storehouse. You read from Brigham Young and this church. Wait, it's not for the Bishop Storehouse, but you're calling it the Bishop Storehouse. The High Council is supposed to be in charge of it, but you're saying the 12 are in the text, and they're not in the text. Where's the 12 apostles? You said at the pulpit of conference, both Oakes and Anderson, that section 120 has the 12 apostles to be in charge of tithing for Jesus, not the Bishop Storehouse, but the Bishop Storehouse is for Jesus. Confusion! And don't you dare ask questions. So yes, on the 23rd, I found out from Fox News that the National Guard is coming to Utah. Stormtroopers to march the streets at Temple Square, just like they did with 2020's test run during Black Lives Matter. The military police at Temple Square, knocking down old men and beating them. So, then yesterday, after doing my Sunday video, revising the bloodlines of Final Destination, the elder missionary at Adam-on-Diamond, who is a Danite himself, which is strange, very strange, because sometimes you feel like a nut. So I just took a snapshot of him rather than downloading the PDF. Elias H. Blackburn, born September 17th, 1827. Died on April 6th, 1908. So his biography. Blackburn was born in Bedford County, Pennsylvania. He became Bishop of Provo when a ward was organized there in 1851. So he's 34 years old, or about to turn 34. So what about his conversion? When did he join? Obviously he was converted in Pennsylvania, Bedford County. Joseph died in 44, so he would have still been an adult. When did he join the church? They're not telling us. Shh. But obviously, by coming to Utah, he was converted to the wrong church. Converted as a Danite. 1859, he served a mission to Great Britain. 1863, that's part of the Perpetual Immigration Fund. That's not a mission. They don't want to tell the truth. 1863, he was sent by church leaders to Beaver, Utah, to serve as a Sunday school superintendent. Citation needed. In 1879, he moved to Wayne County, Utah, where he again was made Bishop of Loa, Utah, until 1889. 1887, the church was shut down. It's no longer a religion. That's why he was no longer a bishop. In 1882, he was elected to represent Paiute and Beaver in the territorial legislature. Blackburn practiced polygamy and had 6 wives. Yourselves to be so easily fooled, or so easily go along with the wrong side of history? How could you let them tell you not to learn the truth? To use spiritual witness feelings rather than study? To mistranslate, misinterpret, and misdefine words in Scripture that are the law to govern the church. So yeah, Adam-on-Diamond, the secret headquarters of the Danites. And so, last night, along with the tithing. I told you about the flooding, the literal flooding, as I also saw that Utah's police, all executive agents, officers in Utah are now part of the SS of Trump. Utah has fully transitioned, not just those specific counties that were in the news previously, as Trump was offering $50,000 starting bonus to become an SS stormtrooper. So yeah, we definitely need Trump to liquidate the church. Doing all I can to get Trump's attention, and I'm hoping that, yeah, this is it. Because the church has membership records. They know who's illegal and who's not. Everybody who's illegal, oh my God, is on this list. And everybody's playing dumb. They heard Trump say it. They saw Trump in his first administration do it. Everybody's now playing dumb. He had everybody locked up at the southern border, separating families, trafficking the children to good Christian families, and the pool boy. He called out blacks to go back to their bleep hole country where they didn't come from. Some were ancestors where they came from. Mia Love showed Trump no love. Now she's dead of cancer. The Islamic ban, travel ban. And you can't figure out that that's what he meant by illegal? LGBTQ, you don't understand, you're illegal. Gays were illegal in Nazi Germany. They had the inverted triangle colored pink to label you. Now they've got you labeled on your ID and on your birth certificate and marriage certificate. You're blacklisted to the extreme. And you don't get that this is what's going to happen to you? You're in denial of it? That gay marriage is going to be overthrown? That you're going to go to El Salvador where you didn't come from? Or Uganda? Or Uruguay? Or Libya? You can self-deport and get $1,000. You don't get it? Democrats, seriously? You didn't catch on from lock her up? That's what he was going to do to you? Seriously? You're playing dumb. And the press, the enemy of the people? You didn't get it? You don't understand? Why is he attacking us? We're the press. Oh my God. And SCOTUS now ruling that the homeless are illegal. They can't have tent camps. Still waiting, Officer Red. Oh, Chief Red. Whatever. Your sister Homewrecker Mendenhall's boy toy. the newest boy toy, because the previous boy toy wouldn't be her boy toy. They all were panicked last night because of the flooding here. And so they switched sides to be more uphill. I remember earlier this year when we had a massive rain, the one guy was sleeping and he was starting to get flooded. He didn't realize it yet. Didn't permeate his sleeping bag. And so yes, it's not just those who commit crimes without documents. It is far more reaching than that. And for everybody to play dumb on this is just sickening. And so yes, birthright citizenship, yeah, no. You can't be naturalized, you can't have birthright citizenship because you were born because your parents were undocumented when they had you in America. That is technically illegal. Because you cheated to get citizenship as a baby before the parents could be determined as being approved or not. But it takes decades for the courts to still not decide whether to approve you or not. Despite having a full-time job, paying taxes, living in society, going to the public school systems, going to the churches, being an American in spirit, just not legally. And just a failure of our justice system, and it's now being used as the weapon. And so Asians, China, socialism, communism, Marxism, they're all the same. And again, now they're trying to claim Trump as a socialist. They don't dare use fascist anymore, or a Nazi, or white supremacist, or a member of the KKK, the Grand Dragon. Grand Dragon Trump. Nope, because they've been shamed and guilt-tripped not to do that. How dare you make such a comparison? So they're going back to socialism, which is what Democrats are. Now they're trying to say Trump is a Democrat. Why are people so stupid? Why? Why? And so, yeah, the elderly and the disabled, both mentally retarded because of the abuse of the psychologists from Nazi Germany thanking their American liberators, and the physically disabled. And any and all other religions and evangelicals, just like in Nazi Germany for the Protestants. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is trying to do the same stunt as in Nazi Germany. So that's why I'm hoping for a reversal of fortune. Saw that mission. It was being filmed right down the block. Reversal of fortune. So yeah, I had to obtain it for my collection, because that's mission journals, since my dad threw all mine away. So yeah, the church is hoping, because it's in their plot for 200 years, to have a Christian group be the one to overthrow the government and start civil war and chaos and everybody dies, as the church in this valley is left alone because everybody else is fighting to death. See who can be king of the mountain. And then the church will rise up in the millennium with their doctrine of Lucifer, with nobody to molest or make them afraid. So, Trump, being told that he's Lucifer, that they're going to murder him, I'm hoping he will then do something to stop him. So that it's Nelson, whose baby name meaning Russell Marion is Lucifer, will instead give everything to Trump. But it's not supposed to. It's supposed to go to me. Remember, I'm the Christ. I'm the one with the keys of Moses for what I accomplished in the Exodus year of 2020, which Oak said was just a test run. Not for me. I did my stuff. I parted the waters. And despite that, the people who were condemning me for not parting the waters just are in denial that I did it. I proved to them that they were false, that I am who I am, and then they just go and hide like a cockroach in Newburgh, New York. When you turn on the lights. God. And that's what's going on now. With my dream set last week, and then the fulfillment over the weekend, and now continuing, Mormons are running and hiding. You know, yeah, I'm getting a lot more thumbs ups on some videos. Dear God, Mormons. Dear God. Like I said, Mormons have no clue what a real head of the church is supposed to be. The damage that this church has done to Mormons, they just diminish Joseph Smith's authority and powers. You know, to call his 1838 visionary accounts as literal history, when obviously it's a vision of seer, which means it's prophecy, prediction of the future, and the calendar date and clock time of revelation. A seer is a prophet and a revelator. And Mormons can't catch on to this? They have to lie that Joseph Smith never said it was a vision, except for he did, to the Methodist preacher. I took an account to tell him of the vision I had had. And just, I don't get this kind of level of stupidity, this level of denialism, this level of evil. I don't get it. I have seen it, I have experienced others doing it, and I cannot grasp and comprehend how, why, to what end. Utter destruction? You really want to die? Or do you honestly think you're going to be the one to survive over everybody else? Because in all the movies, you're the first to die. Which is hilarious. And so yes, I am hoping that if nothing allows me to take you guys to Zion, that Trump will shut down this church, because it is just going to be the most horrendous of evil that the world has never known. If the church gets power, Nicolaitan banned in section 117 should send shivers down every Mormon's spine. They themselves said they are the Nicolaitan band, as they put Joseph Smith condemning Newell K. Whitney as being a part of that band. Well, he was a part of the Danites in 1838. Wait, you're saying Joseph Smith ordained him to be a bishop in Adam-on-Diamond, which is not even a church recognized by Thomas B. Marsh? The Danites, Nicolaitan band. And of all their evil abominations, dear God, Mormons. So yeah, come on, Trump, do it before you're dead. The church is going to murder you. Don't let them win. Don't let God prevail. You know, I point out every conference of how Nelson failed yet again to be a seer, a prophet, a revelator, and especially a translator. And Mormons just play dumb. So, Doggy, that Elon Musk's was a part of. Doggy released everybody's social security number online. Oops. You know, China already has them. Putin already has them. Other enemy nations have them. But now all of our allies have them. And again, this is to destroy social security numbers. That we are going to get a new card with 666 on it, which will be the ID for us to buy and sell. You know, Revelation 13. They purposely cause the problem and then step forward with a solution. The final solution for America. Oh, God, Anna. See, Anna doesn't get it. And she's milking it for ratings. But she doesn't understand the consequences that are coming for her. I really liked her until October 7th, 2023. Then she changed her doctrine, her teachings, to her progressive base, which is Islam. The progressives. And so Anna has been calling for the extermination of Israel ever since. It is disgusting to just read the titles from her. I can't even stand listening to her anymore. I used to love listening to her. I like scrappy women. And yet, not when they're evil. You have lost me. Doesn't matter how beautiful you are on the outside, if your inward core is a rotten corpse, I ain't interested. Again, Isaiah 58. I'm inspired to do these things. When are you going to catch on, Mormons? I'm the head of your church, not Nelson. And so, yesterday, she was getting death threats, so she did the video on it, which would have been the night before. Whatever. She doesn't understand. She's calling for the death of Israelis. So what do you think Israelis are going to do? What do you think Jews are going to do? What do you think pro-Israelites are going to do? Yeah, they're going to step up and defend Israel against the enemy. Anna is now the enemy. She is citing and giving support and aid and comfort, press to Hamas. It's surprised she doesn't go to Gaza to report live and die for Allah. As an Armenian, she's not even an Islamist. She doesn't want to be an Islamist because of what they do to women. She's in denial of all of this. She refuses to do her research on Islam to know how evil they are. She is catering to her base to become popular, to be supported by Islam. She's getting paid to support Islam, to support terrorism. So she doesn't understand. These are the natural consequences. You're going to threaten to murder somebody, you better expect them to defend themselves. And so, after being given death threats, last night she reported that she's now being demonized. You're a terrorist! You do understand that terrorism is the penalty of death. The death penalty for terrorism, and giving aid and comfort to terrorism, which makes you a terrorist. Death penalty. Anna, do you not understand this? Do you think that under Trump, that being an Islamic terrorist is a good idea? When Trump calls you the enemy of the people, you think that's a good idea? You seriously are willing to die for the religion you're not a part of, to die for Allah, to defend terrorism? Really? Because you ain't going to get 72 child bride virgins. You're female. You're too old to be a child bride virgin. But she claims she's using her free speech to be a terrorist. Terrorism is not free speech. Hate speech is not free speech. Death threats is not free speech. Truth is free speech. And as the press, you're supposed to tell the truth. And if people don't like the truth, wah. You need to tell the people the truth. You can't cave on your principles and your journalist integrity to your base that demands you promote Islamic terrorism. Right, Avraham Gileadi? People lose their honor and integrity when threatened, rather than standing up and even dying for their religion, like Joseph Smith did. And then the ones who had him murdered then said he was Christian. So I already told you about the Australian Prime Minister. France is about to collapse economically. Islamic terrorists are now becoming terrorized. It's all a show. They cause their own suffering to get sympathy of the world leaders against Israel. It's just disgusting to see people lie and deny the truth, to exterminate the Jews in Israel. So yeah, I know I didn't cover this first. This is where nobody's listening. Travis and Taylor are getting married. 1.8 million likes in 20 minutes. They can finally turn on their little factories because they're good boy and girl. No, 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 little factory. They're able to just turn it off. No touchy. They're good. No touchy. No. Oh my God. And so, yeah, I originally could have put in, but this is, I don't know if I still will. On the 17th of December 2017, Russell Marion Nelson usurped Monson's authority on his deathbed to change the policy teachings of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints without the authority yet to have 11-year-old girls go to the temple in preparation for 2019 when polygamy is restored in the law of chastity. And so Oaks came out that October conference 2019 to talk about polygamy and use the term to symbolize polygamy as trust in the Lord. So in 2022, the primary thought it would be a great idea to have the theme for the 2020 year for primary, for little kids, as trust in the Lord, to groom them for the coming bridal marriages of polygamy harems when the church gets their kingdom back. And then Nelson would do singing performance with Claire Crosby. I just cringe. So yeah, in Oklahoma, an 11-year-old girl was found to be pregnant. The family's all denying that they knew. This is what's coming for Utah, Mormons. This is your Zion. 11-year-old girls getting pregnant. And Mormons, I guess, want it. They don't care. That's just the horrifying thing about all this, is that Mormons willingly want evil to reign supreme. There we go. The intro to Shout at the Devil. In the beginning, good always overpowered the evils of all mankind, or all men's sins. But in time, our nations grew weak and our cities fell to slums while evil stood strong. Now, many, many lifetimes later, in the dust of hell of the blackest of hate, for he, the evil seer, awaits you. It has been written that those who hold the youth have the future. So come now, children of the beast, be strong and shout at the devil. I may have missed a line. In the darkest of hell of the blackest of hate. Anyway. So, again, you're not getting it. You're not listening. Trump is turning everything into Nazi America. The Lamanites structured their administration to have the king of the Lamanites, named Laman, and over their expanded kingdom, King Laman put tributary kings at the various places. We learn from the Book of Mormon that he would put his sons as the tributary kings at these other cities. And so this is what Trump is doing to America. He is King Laman, and then each state is going to have a tributary king, and they have to run their kingdom as their own. But they have to give tribute to Trump, King Layman. This is how Trump is setting it up. And America is living in denial land, wanting to claim that they didn't think Trump was serious. They thought he was just kidding. He's a kidder. He jokes. He's a comedian. He doesn't want competition. Bill Maher on last Friday about Stephen Colbert going to Saudi Arabia to be the comedian there. That was funny. And so, yes, if you're a Democrat, you can't be Democrat. You can't live in Trump's America. Are you not getting this? You're the enemy. You're illegal. You have to go. Everybody's in denial of this. Who's going to stop him? Nobody's stopping him. Do you not get it? If you're on Trump's blacklist, you have to go. The church is making their own. You have to go. If you're not going to fight for America in a civil war that they're egging you on to do, they want blood. But if you're not going to do it, yeah, they're going to torture you. They're going to lock you up and torture you unto death. Or are you going to stand up and fight for America? And apparently everybody wants to lay down and die. And so the Democrat states that are now thinking that they're going to counter Trump by gerrymandering their states to be Democrat. It's illegal. And yeah, Trump says, I'm suing you guys. You're illegally gerrymandering. You're not allowed to do that. Because you have to gerrymander for Trump. To be MAGA. This is not complicated. 3rd Nephi chapter 7. This is Trump's America. You have to obey Trump. And yet, nobody is understanding that we are past the point of no return. There will be war, or everybody will die. So, with Ronald McDonald K. Jr. destroying the federal health departments, kids have, in greater numbers, again stopped getting vaccinated. Despite the measles outbreak and other viruses that have emerged, thanks to no vaccine, as Utah likewise has 2 more cases of the measles, which should never have happened. And so more homeless in Utah who have to leave Utah now. You're illegal. Yeah, I know, it sucks that your home was burned. You're now illegal. You gotta go. And if you don't go, you'll be locked up and tortured unto death. Similar to what the church did to me in 2008. They were already setting the pattern for what they were going to do for the latter days. John Deere. Yep, told you, the economy. AI projected that they should raise their prices above and beyond what they were raising their prices. And those companies that refuse to lower their prices will lose customers. They will lose income. So like I told you the other day about 2008's economic collapse worldwide, if the businesses refuse to lower their prices, if they are not a basic necessity business, they are going to have to quit because they aren't going to be making any money. And some will just outright quit. Others will slowly quit. They'll start laying off people, closing down franchise stores. And so John Deere, yep, they're choosing that path. Rather than lowering their prices, they're now instead laying off employees. And thus closing down franchise stores. My Uncle Bert up in Idaho had a John Deere until I think he sold it. I don't know how long ago. Anyway, right there at the corner. There'll be food around the corner, food around the corner, food around the corner for me. All Utah National Guard are now the SS with us. Here it comes, Mormons. You're gonna make me cry this morning. I'm seriously, I'm going to only have to have it on the screen to copy and paste into the description below. I don't think I can stand. You already saw me earlier. But that's what we got coming. That's what we got coming. So the news is trying to claim that the mission president wrote about his return to service. Did you not even bother to read? Did you not even understand English and how to comprehend it? It was his wife who wrote it. The mission president says, no, it was his wife. She spoke for him. Yes, my husband would love to do that assignment. What? What are you doing? What are you making me do? Yep, he has so much potential. Yep. Yep, I know about that. She was not happy when I said, don't do that. I have a life. I can't be taken off from it to do your assignments for me. I'm trying to support this family. I can't be diverted. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't come into work today. My wife has me do these other assignments. Dear God. Well. Utah kindergartners can now carry guns to school. I saw that and I just, oh my God. Utah law. Ages 5 to 18 can carry guns. Brilliant. Stable geniuses, inspired by Jesus. Church is true. Blow them away, kid. So yeah, I saw this coming. I warned you this was coming. The announcement of the new billion cell asylum in Utah, in Taylorsville. Yeah. What did you think was going to happen? Well, now that that's built and dedicated to Jesus and open to the public, and now taking in prisoners, I mean clients, of little kids with guns, they're now claiming we've got a shortage of psychologists. Oh no! They're all in prison. For being taught by the Nazis to thank their American liberators. God. It's just so predictable how evil is. So yeah, homeless, I talked about that last night. It is not an increase in employment of 2.3%. We have an increase in homeless. They don't work anymore. You're not counting the unemployed. God. It's been a stable situation the whole time, because they'd only count unemployment based on those who qualified for unemployment. And here in Utah, they don't want you to have it. They tell you to go to the church. And then the church says, well, you got to be a member and get a job and pay tithing before we can give you aid and comfort. And then the Federal Reserve governor was fired. She's in denial. But again, Trump wants to destroy the federal government. 3 Nephi chapter 7, guys. Not literal history. And so yes, this is to destroy the economy, so that each state runs their own economy and then pay tribute to Trump. How many times do I have to repeat this until people start believing me? As it keeps happening. You're not caught on yet? I'm telling you the truth. Why are you denying this? We're all doomed. Oh, God. I am going to have to do it. Truck drivers must speak English. No hablo español. Yo quiero Taco Bell. I was born in East LA, man. The president, that guy from Death Valley days. All must go. Yep, AI is replacing all your jobs. All entry-level jobs that college graduates get, gone to AI. AI now controls all of those jobs. Swatting and shooting hoaxes are escalating at colleges. Indonesia has now joined Islamic terrorism. The Cracker Barrel crumbled. I meant to check that. God, I didn't. The church invests in... God. because the Cracker Barrel changed their logo, and then all of a sudden everybody retaliated and refused to purchase, and so their stocks and value just plummeted. And so it's back to the original Cracker Barrel logo. But the church invests in stocks, and so I wanted to check before I did this video if the church invests in the Cracker Barrel, and I know they must, but I was going to check it. So if I see it, I will do the snapshot of it, and then put a little red asterisk by Cracker Barrel, because the print will most likely be too small for you to actually see. Even though I'll have to try to figure out where it is on the so yeah, I already talked about the blood libel. Great, we're done. So yeah, we're all gonna die, guys. This is it. Hannibal is no longer at the gates, he's inside. Stormtroopers are in the streets. America has fallen. And so is America going to stand up and fight for America, or are you going to be like the Germans, who are going to be ashamed and guilt-ridden afterward that you didn't do anything as you watched your neighbors suffer and die, have to hide in the walls of the homes? So study up on your Anne Frank.